Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, everyone. We are here to have a very necessary conversation about marriage. And so this evening, we have some great guests here with us. I have my husband here, Rodney,
Hello, how's everybody?
and we have the beautiful Mrs. Skinner and her wonderful, awesome husband, Rodney Skinner. And
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
yeah, and so we're gonna go through. We have Jatan and we have Marcy as well, and we're just gonna tell you a little bit about all these awesome couples that we have here with us tonight. This is season 3, episode 3, total of 18 episodes tonight. Correct, Terrence?
That is correct. The Mahogany podcast. It's on
Yes, yes,
Spotify, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And it's
yes.
sponsored by, we need to sponsor.
We need a sponsor. We How about Kimberly Skinner's Mary Kay?
Yeah.
Kimberly Skinner's Mary Kay is the sponsor.
And a shameless
Yes.
plug, it's also sponsored by DF Global Insurance Advisors.
Absolutely.
Woo-hoo.
Woo.
Anybody else want to get their promotion on?
Yeah.
Mega Mama. Sponsored by Mega Mama.
Mega Mama.
Yes.
We are
And
live.
Marcy has like 12
I
minutes.
was just saying, I got about 12 businesses, but it's sponsored by A Fresh Wind, where we do social media branding and keeping you encouraged and inspired.
That's
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, Marcy, I bought your book. I'm waiting on it.
I saw that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
And before we actually go into Queen Carmel's therapy presentation, as well as the panel, we got the hidden stranger, Terrence Butler, back on the scene again. Chronicles of volleyball, basketball. Dad, what's going on?
Yeah, kids been keeping me super busy. Daughter's got done with the basketball season. She finished like 13th in the Metro East area in scoring and number 2 in rebounding.
Nice.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Just
Nice,
trying to
nice.
figure out what her next move is going to be. Now she's on the volleyball. And since I haven't been there the last 2 weeks, I had to bring out the turnover chain as a good luck showing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And before Carmel kicks off the stuff, we just want to be able to reiterate and stuff that the podcast is on Spotify as well as YouTube. And so we're going to have a panel discussion. It's going to be ran by Queen Carmel, and we're going to just kick back, relax, and just let the couples and other guests speak as be. And definitely looking forward to this particular podcast episode. So Carmel, go ahead and take it away.
All right. First, I want to say I'm so glad to hear Butler's voice in the background, our co-host who we've been missing. He's an awesome dad. So, our families are our very first ministry. So that's awesome. And congratulations on your daughter's accomplishment.
Appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, first and foremost, I just want to let everybody know what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about critical issues in marriage, relevance of marriage today, ways to strengthen your marriage, love languages, just a little bit, and the importance of self-care and self-love for marriage, and when to get help with marital problems. Now, let's meet our panel. I briefly mentioned who we have here with us today. I want to highlight them and tell you just a little bit about each of our married individuals or couples, Fred and Marcy Wilson. I love this picture. This is my favorite picture of you guys, Marcy. It's such a playful picture, and it really just exuberates love. Fred and Marcy have been married for 22 years. They have 2 children. They are a pastor and first lady of Morning Glory Prayer Warriors. They're both published authors, and they serve the community through multiple ministries, through their books, through their Greek sororities, Delta Theta Sigma and Kappa Alpha Psi. So super excited to have Marcy with us. And then we have Mr. and Mrs. Skinner. They are super awesome, married 30.5 years. They're going to hit 31 years this year. This is amazing.
Yes.
We'll be looking to you all for some really solid advice this evening. All of us. That's awesome. So they are our veterans this evening.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, we're not too far behind.
Yeah.
And a fun fact about Kimberly and Rodney is that they met on Kimberly's first day of her transfer to SIU Edwardsville. So it was kind of a love at first sight.
Definitely. Yep.
Oh, how sweet.
Amazing.
And
I
together ever since.
Yes, that's
Oh,
beautiful.
Oh,
That's beautiful. And they love to listen to Chicago house music.
Yeah.
Hey, what's not to love about Chicago house music?
You have, I'm telling you.
I
Gotta
got
get
a
it
question
in.
for you too.
Look,
And Rodney, where
you're breaking up.
do you all go now to listen to your house music?
Where do we go to listen to our house music?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you
Right.
now.
Yeah. What do you?
Yep. Where do we go to listen to our
Okay.
house music? We pull up, we Google. We follow, especially like now during COVID, we follow some of the like Julian Jumping Perez or those. We follow house music online on Instagram or Facebook is because a lot of them are doing it live right now. And so, but then we still have a couple of old mixes that we have on our, we downloaded it to an old iPod. We will not get rid of our old iPod because of that. It has a lot of
Gotcha.
mixes on it.
Yeah, I haven't been to a good house party since college, so
Oh my
I
gosh.
used to like house music too. So it's been a
Yeah.
minute.
We
She
just
was
had
like,
one Friday
"Oh,
night.
Oh, hold up.
That's nice.
At the house.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we used to listen to it in college as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. We just had a house party Friday night.
Well, the Browns would like to get an invitation to the next
All
one.
right.
Mhm.
We can
Oh,
do
that's
that.
amazing. And then next we have Larice and Jatan Thrill Kill. Larice is not going to be with us tonight, but Jatan is here. We just kind of agreed to let at least one spouse be here this evening, just so that we can have this conversation. But if both spouses could be in attendance, we certainly welcome that. So every couple is not. Is Marcy still on?
Yep, I'm still here. Yep.
Okay, I don't know why I don't see you.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Larice and Jatan have been married for 8.5 years. They are the parents of 6 amazing children. And they help other couples through, especially with parenting. They're such good parents and so passionate about parenting, which we're going to be talking about next week. And Jatan has her brand Mega Mama, in which she does vlogging and things like that to encourage other mommies. And so they absolutely love date nights. Rodney and I have done several date nights with Jatan and Larice, and I'm telling you, we just go all out. We get all dolled up and we go to the fanciest places, and then I complain about how much money we spent on the meal after. And
I'm afraid for my life.
she's like, karma's gonna kill me. But yes, great. So let's get down to it. Critical issues. Now, I have here a few things that we've already talked about with as far as critical issues goes. Workload. We have a society of busy people today. So workload is an issue in a lot of marriages. Rodney is always telling me to put my laptop up. So, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
And then also defined roles tends to be an issue in today's marriages. And, I work with a lot of couples in therapy, and with everybody being so busy, stuff kind of gets jumbled up these days. People don't know who's supposed to be doing what. And so then sometimes things don't get done, or everybody's focusing on the right stuff or wrong stuff or the same stuff. So that's an issue. And then the next thing is social media. Social media, believe it or not, is a big issue for married couples today. And we'll talk about why. Intimacy, boundaries, abuse of all kinds. We'll talk about that. Infidelity, and then just differences. some couples have differences in values and an age and different things like that. So real quick, I like to talk about workload. And I'm going to ask the panel what your thoughts are about why workload is critical and an issue for marriages today. I'd like to start with you, Marcy.
Perfect question, Carmel. Why is it why is it needed today? We have to learn balance between myself and my husband, because first of all, we all are working on these multiple streams of income. I know that we are, because in order to be reach that millionaire status that we all want to reach, you have to have multiple streams of income. Well, guess what that comes with? That comes with multiple work, whether you're thinking or you're at your laptop. Because my husband tells me the same thing. Please slap that laptop down. And I'm telling him, please come out of your office, and so we could be in the house all day together on a Saturday, but we haven't even seen each other because we're in separate places. But what we did, we made the commitment to set a timer to say, hey, it's time to turn it off. If you don't tell yourself to do that, then you will find yourself just constantly working, and not having that balance in your life. So I want to encourage all the couples to do that, create that balance in your life. Because here's what I found out. If you stop working on it today, guess what? It's going to be there tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. It is not. And so, use that to your advantage by creating balance in your life. Making sure that you set that time aside. Hey, Friday is going to be date night no matter what. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't, we don't even have to leave the house, but let's just make sure that we are spending quality time together. So when you understand that and you realize that, hey, you know what, work is going to always be there. Everything doesn't command your immediate attention. We have to really understand how to put things in the urgent box or the important box. And sometimes we kind of cross them over because everything that is important is not urgent. And so if it can wait, then let it wait, so that you're creating that space for you and your spouse to have together. So we've set ourselves up where, hey, you know what? This is date day. And then here's the other thing. We have days where we're not together because we're practicing our own self-care. I don't want to be with my husband when I'm practicing self-care. I might want to just relax and do some girl stuff, that he's not interested in, and the same for him. So having that workload balance, knowing that you got to shed it off, because people don't care. They will work you to death. So know how to shed it off, create those boundaries, and make sure that you are taking time for yourself as well as spending quality time with your spouse.
That's awesome, Marcy. Thank you so much for that. And those are some really, really good points. I hope you guys are taking notes. If you don't have a notepad and a pen, please grab one right away. Do you guys see Lydia on here? She says she's on, but I don't see her.
Yeah, I see her.
Okay. Hi, Lydia. And
Hi.
how are you? Hi, Andre.
Hey, how you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I see you guys. I didn't see you at first. All right, now I see you. Well, let me just introduce the wonderful Lydia Neal and her awesome husband, Andre, married 26 years. They have 3 adult children. They've been in ministry as long as they've been married. And these two, they are just so passionate about helping other people improve their quality of life. Lydia is also a counselor. She's great at what she does and just passionate about helping other people. So I love that the two of you are here with us, and thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Skinner, what are your thoughts about workload being a critical issue for marriages today?
Well, I would say we absolutely agree with everything that Marcy shared, because for us, a part, I would just underscore what you said, is all around communication. So being able to communicate and being on one page as far as what the priorities are. First of all, be working as a team, knowing that the reason we are busy is because we have agreed on the goal that we're trying to achieve as a couple. So understanding that first, that we're all on the same page there, but yes, having those defined boundaries and the plan. So for us, we do have that cutoff time daily. With my, with my job now, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. So I'm getting started when everyone is winding down because they're off work now. So we definitely have a plan around that. We know what time we're going to sit down to dinner together. We still eat dinner together every night. We make an appointment. We don't have to make an appointment now. We've been at home together for a year, but we eat lunch together every day. So we make sure we have that time, the times where we can connect, even though our schedules are a little bit hectic right now.
That's great. That was a nugget that she just dropped. I hope you guys wrote that down. They eat lunch together every day. That's awesome. 30.5 years. Okay.
Carmel, I think you also have to always realize your first job is taking care of each other. That's my first job is being a husband. So I can't never lose focus of that based on everything. Everything else works when that works first.
Yeah. Yes. I love it. Thank you. That's awesome. Good. Guys, listen in. That's why it's important too to have.
I gotta give love to the vets. I gotta give deference to the 30 years. I'm at 19, so I'm listening intently.
It's awesome.
That's OG status right there. Congratulations.
Yes.
No teardrops.
That's great. I love it. All right. And so, Jatan, what are your thoughts about workload being a critical issue for marriages today?
I think it's important, no matter how busy we are throughout the day. One of the things I look forward to with my spouse is that when we finally get to the nighttime, and the babies are in the bed and it's quiet, that's our time to just sit in the bed, reflect, have our tea. And sometimes we talk a lot, and then sometimes we don't. But it's just the intimate setting of us being together. Sometimes we may be working on our laptops and my husband will stop and hold my hand. And it's kind of, corny, but it works. And that kind of goes into the level of intimacy. So it's just that physical touch and just us being together after we've worked so hard throughout the day. You have to, like Mr. Skinner says, you have to understand that family comes first. And I have to remind myself that my husband and I, we have to come first. We have to put ourselves first. And that's hard for some people to understand or to get. But if you're not putting yourself first, you can't be there for anyone, for your kids, for your friends, for anyone. So it's kind of like when you're in a plane and they tell you, look, if something happens while you're on this plane, you don't put the mask over your baby. You have to put the mask on yourself first. And so that's kind of how I look at a marriage, so that's how I look at workload. I don't care what's going on. When at the end of the night, it's time for my husband and myself. So.
That's great. Lydia and Andre, what do you two want to add?
I agree with everything that was said. Also, working as a counselor, I may need a mental break for a moment. So I will take the time to text him a little love note or call him if I know that he's not busy, or even if we are at home. And, now we do virtual sessions. So if I'm at home, I'll put my laptop down and go I'll find wherever he is, and I will go and just get a hug. And then, I just needed a hug. I just needed to see your face and then go back to what I was doing. So it's okay to take those little breaks in between as well. If you can't just wait till you get home, or if you can't wait till, late at night or what have you, just send a mental note, let him know I'm thinking about you. I love you. I can't wait to see you when you get home. Yeah. And that sets up for whatever happens when you do get home.
That's right. Amen.
We're going to be PG. We're going to keep it PG on that one.
Hey, we're all adults. We're all married adults.
Absolutely.
Yeah, somebody's kids might be watching and stuff. Like, what the Neil's doing tonight?
What we're supposed to.
I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with it. We know it happens. It's a hard time. That's all.
You know, you're right, Lydia. Those little love notes and texts throughout the day, they go a long way. I know Rodney and I, we do text each other throughout the day, especially because we have different schedules. But something else that I know that we did is Tuesdays. Rodney's always been off on Tuesdays. That's always been his off day. He works in the auto industry, auto dealership industry, and so he's always been off on Sundays and Tuesdays. And there was a time when, because he was off, I would work longer hours, or I would have see more clients on Tuesdays,
Mhm.
because I knew that if there were other things that needed to be done at home or over at our wellness center, that he would be available to do it and I wouldn't need to be there necessarily. And so a couple of years ago, I realized, wait a minute, I'm doing this backwards. And so I don't see any clients on Tuesdays anymore. I am completely free on Tuesdays because we do have different work schedules. So Tuesdays and Sundays, we're both off. So we have the same off days.
That's good.
Yes.
That works. That
That's
works.
That's
good.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
One
I
of the
heard
perks
you
of
want-
being able to control your own schedule.
We wouldn't have control our own schedule, or we would do that on Saturday and Sunday, like most of you. But it works during the week for us.
Yes.
Yep. Good,
Make
good.
it work.
Yep. All right. So I want to go down to social media. We'll get back to defined roles if we get around to it. But I think it's really important that we talk about social media, because I know, you know, we're going to get short on time eventually. We're not short on time yet, but social media. I see a lot of couples in counseling, and they struggle with the things that are occurring on social media, just the internet in general. You know, we're walking around all day with this phone in our hands, and that can be a huge barrier for a lot of couples. What are your thoughts about that? And what kind of suggestions would you have for that? Jatan, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, I'm actually a newbie to social media. I've discovered that, guess what? You have to be on social media. My husband and I we were not a part of social media for years. I've just been on social media for maybe 2 years. He's been on maybe 3 to 4 years. And so boundaries come into play on social media. For instance, Facebook. I am friends with we're friends together with our family. We do have separate friends like that we went to high school with and things like that. But when I joined social media, I kept getting, you know, all the Facebook requests, and I really did not know what I was doing. I'm just accepting people. And then I had to go back, and we had to kind of, you know, look at things a little different. And we said, okay, if I'm friends with this person on social media, then we know it's pretty safe. So that's kind of how I do it. I get a new request, because my husband has this massive family. So a lot of people I don't know or don't realize who they are. So I'll see if they're friends with my husband, then I accept them. And so, and vice versa. So that's kind of how we deal with social media, with that being our most critical boundary, I would say. But you do have to be careful on social media. I've had things come up where I think that I'm in a safe place on social media with someone. And it turns out I've had to learn all about the DMing and all these different things that I just was not aware about. So I just keep it safe. I keep my friends to a minimum, and I just check in with my husband, if he's friends with this person, is it okay? And we just kind of go from there. So just setting clear boundaries, not thinking or assuming, but setting clear boundaries and expectations of what your spouse, how your spouse feels about things, and, vice versa. So.
Sure. Great. All right. Does anybody else want to add anything to that with regards to social media? Marcy, do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. This is my vein. This is why I live right in this social media. As a person, both of us, we are very heavily on social media because technically that's how we get our clients. That's how we get because I'm also, not only do we have our own online ministry, I'm also a online pastor for another church. So I practically live on all social media platforms. And so again, you got to guard your gates. That's the best way that I can say it. And so understanding that, listen, I am here, and what I show you on social media is what I want you to know. So you don't have the right, and if you set that up before earlier, you don't have the right to inbox me and ask me anything that I did not already share with you. You don't know me well enough to ask me personal questions or to try to slide in my DM or any of those things. You don't have that right. And so when you set those clear expectations about who you are and your presence on social media, people will respect it. They only gonna respect what you put out there. So we do try to put out. I think everybody knows that Fred and I are married on social media because we put that out there for people to see. Funny story. Because I'm not friends with everybody that my husband is friends with, and that's fine with us because, well, again, we set those boundaries. But I attended a national convention for Delta Sigma Theta. I had at least 20 different women come up to ask me, "Are you Fred Wilson's wife?" And I'm trying to figure out, and I was walking with other sorors, and they was like, "Why are all these people stopping you, asking you if you're Fred's wife?" I said, "I have no idea," because I didn't know them personally. We were in a convention in a whole nother state with over 100,000 women, and out of all these people, you noticed me because of something he put on social media, and so I had to be okay with that, because at first I was annoyed, like, "Why are you asking me if this is my husband?" But I had to come to grips with, oh, he's putting something out on social media. They see my face, they see what he's putting out there, and they wanted to know if I was this person. So for us, it has worked some in our favor, again, because this is where we get a lot of traction. This is where we get a lot of people. This is where we get a lot of contacts and things of that nature. So setting those clear boundaries and letting people know that you don't have the right to ask me anything I did not already put out there. If I want you to know something, I'd let you know by putting it out there. So don't come sliding in my DM asking me anything or trying to get past anything that is not appropriate.
Yes, I love it. And I was thinking as you were saying that too, Marcy, that, well, at least they knew you were his wife.
Exactly. So that's what the soror said. Well, at least they know you his wife, Marcy. I said, okay, I'll let that one ride. But I don't feel some kind of way by all these women asking me. I said, actually, Fred Wilson is my husband.
Yes.
I got a real quick funny story about social media. Just to give you some context. Me and my wife, we joke around a lot. We're constantly playing pranks with each other and stuff like that. So before I even got on social media, she was on Facebook, but I was like, what's Facebook? I don't even want to be a part of that. So little did I know, she had created me a whole page. She had set up my picture, had a profile, and she had about 55 to 70 friends. She was DMing people before I even found about it. So I get on there, and I'm like, why I got so many friends? She ended up telling me, I think I caught her doing something funny. So she was DMing people, having conversations, commenting as me, and stuff like that. So I had to go back to those people and say, dude, please don't even worry about what she was saying. That wasn't even me. That was my wife. So it was just hilarious how I got introduced into social media, not even being myself.
That's amazing. I love it. Sounds like my type of woman.
Right, she ain't want no problems. I'm gonna let you know up front.
Yeah.
You better be lucky somebody didn't send something crazy to you, and then you questioning me.
Now that is hilarious.
She was just helping you out. She was helping you out. That's all.
I see. And of course, y'all got her back, of course.
That's great. All right. And Skinners, do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
It's interesting because of our dynamic. Well, I live on social media too now with my business, but Rodney is an extrovert. So he loves, and especially now that we're, been in for a year. I mean, that's how he reaches out. So he is always on social media. When I come off, I want to unplug, but he is always on. But it was similar to my soror, Marcy, that that you know, I would have women say to me, "Are you Rodney's wife?" I would see him in the mall, or they would always speak to me or something. Or you must be Rodney's wife. Oh, I saw you. So, you know, one thing I know is that, and that's okay with me from a boundary perspective. That's okay with me because you know, we've talked about the fact that, you know, we typically do not, unless we know the opposite sex, we're not out here, you know, I don't have a lot of male friends that do not know my husband. And he doesn't, and it's the same way with us. That's just a boundary that that's something that we've established and that works for us. So I don't have to worry about anything else, and he doesn't either. I've had a couple of people, you know, the people hit the DMs, it's like, you know what, I don't even answer because I don't know who you are. Get friend requests, I don't know who you are, so I don't accept them. But he's always on, but he feels like it's all in. I think what you said, Marcy, is all in what you put out there. You said if you
well, most of mine is, I mean, pictures that they see us together. So most pictures I'm posting are us together, things that I put out there. But 99% of the people on my page, I've had some type of relationship with them. We've either high school, college, church member. It's some way that I know them. So I just don't accept anybody because I always feel that I can input into their life, or they have something that happens, I can speak into it if I know you. If I don't know you, it's kind of hard to do that. So usually I try to keep people that I know or had some type of touch with during our lifetime. So that makes it easier for me to do it that way. And they never have to worry about it. They always see us on there all the time. Yeah. So
and he always says that, you know, they will cut if you put that, what did you say?
Just like, yeah, just like, you know, if you put out the scent, bees will come. If they smell honey, they'll come. If you're putting out that aroma, then you'll attract them. But if you ain't putting out that aroma, why waste the time? Because you're not getting any honey. So I keep it that way. That makes it easier for me. I don't put out the scent of I'm seeking anything. So it keeps people at bay. But she knows everybody on my page. Most people, she asks me, who is that? Oh, that's a classmate. That's went to school together, high school, college, you know, from wherever I might know. So it's not like she doesn't know anybody on it. She asks me, I can tell them who they are.
Sure. That's great. Mr. and Mrs. Neal, anything to add?
A picture says 1,000 words. It's been kind of talked about. My picture is me and her. Mm-hmm. So when you see, if anybody knows me, they'll see me and her. So if they can't put two and two together, well, like saying that, and he's talking about the scent being put out there. Well, that's the scent. It's us. And
yes.
And for the most part, well, for a while I kept it private. I was a part of it just because to be a part of it. You know, you start off to look for classmates and everything, but then I kept it private. And so whoever was a friend, if I did post anything, which I don't, but now I made it public, and I'm not on there. I'm on there, but I'm not on there because my biggest thing I do now is happy birthday and congratulations. And I'll lurk for a little minute, and then I kind of get off. So that's kind of the extent of it on my end. So you don't have too much to worry about because I'm just, you know, more or less I kind of look to see what other folks are doing. If it pops up on your feed, outside of that, yeah, I'm kind of on and off.
My perspective, as far as ministry goes, my page is also public because I mostly post encouraging words and ministerial things. In case someone happens upon my page, I want there to be something there that is encouraging to them. And I don't look for likes. I don't look for all the, you know, well, they didn't like this and they didn't like that. No, I just want it to be there in case you need to see it. And so that is my main purpose for my Facebook page, is to be an encouragement to someone else that may happen up on my page and maybe in a bad place, because you never know. So that is the extent. Now I do post happy birthdays and pictures of my children when they've done something that I'm very proud of. But other than that, that is the extent. And as you as you see, we're practically just about the same as most of the couples are. Like you said, if you have that oneness in mind as a couple, then you're going to mirror each other, really,
Yeah.
especially after you've been married for a very long time. So
Sure. Thank you all for sharing that. And I put that on here specifically because I have had couples in counseling that have
Yes.
specifically had issues with social media. He or she liked this on somebody else's page of the opposite sex, or there's a woman or a man on his or her page commenting and liking all of his or her stuff. And he or she's not posting me on their page. So do people even know that they're married? And I believe that they're trying to hide me as their spouse, and other people may think that they're single and they're not. So things like that. And it's always really surprising to me that even couples that have been married for a very long time
Yeah.
have difficulty with social media. And, sometimes there's some other underlying problems that typically cause that, and social media is just a symptom of what the actual underlying problem is, and that's typically the case.
Yeah, and you have to have those conversations, just have those conversations, because, he doesn't have to post me for me to be okay with who I am as a person, so we got to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
Validation.
Yes. Yep, for sure.
yes.
Well,
I wanted to add something to that too, but
Yeah.
while I understand that, people, like the minister uses social media in a particular fashion, some people are introverted by nature and they don't want all their business out there. So I don't think that, putting pictures of spouses together necessarily shows solidarity, because like for myself, I have probably over 10,000 photos of stuff that I do with me and my family, but I don't post all of it on Facebook because of the fact that we both have a private approach to it, because we look at it's almost like peering into the window. So a lot of people use social media a lot of times to just put all their business out there, including married couples. And so you don't know who's watching, and it's more than just the prospects of infidelity, but you also have people that could be doing something that's casing out where you live. They could be counting your money, or they're trying to piece together a narrative just by those little pictures, because pictures are nothing more but a snapshot of the entire situation. So somebody can have a very abusive relationship, somebody can get in a very heated argument, and somebody can be drunk as a skunk. And as soon as they take a picture, they're good timing it up. But that doesn't tell the whole picture. So I think that's one of the things. We put too much power into social media. And I think that we need to start going back to more holistic ways of addressing the organic nature of marriage. The social media is not an organic place to lay your marital business. And that's just my perspective. But I just want to add in that part.
No, that's a really good point. Thank you for adding that. Now we're going to go ahead and move down to boundaries. We talk about boundaries all the time, but we seldom talk about boundaries in marriage. And I think that is mostly because there is a lot of unwritten or unspoken boundaries in marriages. A lot of the times we just assume that our spouse knows that certain things are boundaries. And sometimes that causes problems down the road. And I've listed or identified a few boundaries here that some people may set in marriages, or that may be relevant in marriages. And I'm just going to go down this list real quick. Some of the ones I've mentioned are yelling and name calling, physical violence, infidelity, talking negatively about your spouse to other people, allowing other people to talk negatively about your spouse, keeping secrets, ignoring your spouse. I think I might be guilty of that one. Withholding intimacy, I'll work on that one. That ignoring spouse. Communication with the opposite sex, which is what we were just referring to, and that entails texting, having lunch at work, and all those things. And with that one specifically, I know that I've worked with couples before where the spouse is having lunch with someone from the office. We all know that those types of relationships can evolve into something more, and very often they do. In fact, in a lot of the cases where I've worked with couples on infidelity, it very often starts out as something very innocent, where it's not a real intention to develop a relationship. But when you're spending time with someone on a consistent and or ongoing basis, you start to feel connected to them. And then before you know it, you realize you have a lot in common. And then all of a sudden, this person is seeming like they're more connected to you and understand you more than your spouse does. And that can go on and on. So what are your thoughts about these types of things? And I'll start with the Skinners on this one. You can pick any one of those out of that list and discuss anyone that you want to.
So I think one that we established very early on is the talking negatively about the spouse to others. I mean, and I would say talking about each other to anyone else outside of our marriage. That's one thing that we have established early on. Yes, understanding that you need some may need a confidant, someone to talk to. But for us, our marriage, that's something that we had established. We have to figure out how to talk it out. If you need some space, time, different place in a house to relax, do that. But we do not include our parents, our sisters, our friends into any part of our marriage, our disagreement, or anything like that. And so that's one that I think we established right out of the gate in marriage, was that we don't include anyone else or involve anyone else in our marriage, especially with disagreements.
That's awesome. Rodney, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, it's just all about us. I mean, we just feel that, going to someone else to talk about and trying to get their perspective. I mean, their perspective might not work in our circle. So usually in our marriage, it's always about us. So we have to figure out how to work that out without bringing other people in, bringing other comments and bringing their opinion into our relationship, because they don't know her like I know her. So we usually have to work it out. It might take some time sometime, but it's easier for us to work through it than bringing other ideas that are foreign to our relationship. So we keep it in house, and we tend to work it out, and that keeps other people out of our marriage and commenting on it and saying, well, saying because if you tell someone else, then all of a sudden they telling somebody, well, they ain't all that.
Yep.
So usually we keep it here, and I never want to give any other female or any other woman anything negative to say about my wife. I never want to give her that power. If I said something and you start using against me, well, you told me this, and then things just kind of get out of hand. So I never want to give anybody that type of power over me or over my relationship with my wife.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Because let's just be honest, you're gonna have conflict in your marriage.
Absolutely.
It comes with the territory. I mean,
Yes.
in any of your close interpersonal relationships in which you spend a lot of time with an individual, you're going to have conflict with your children.
Yes.
You're going to have conflict with your parents, and sometimes even your friends, depending on how much time you spend with them. And you do have to learn how to work it out, because going outside and talking to other people can certainly make it worse.
Yeah. And Carmel, may I also add, as you bring up your children, because we are the parents of 2 adult children. As our adult children, that's another place to watch out. They don't even, just because they're grown, they don't need to be all in this conversation. And so you have to manage that as parents of adult children. I mean, so
or allow their issues to make y'all fight. That's the
right.
other.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We need a whole Saturday to talk about them adult children.
Yes.
That's a whole podcast within itself. So just reschedule us for next week.
We're going to be talking about that next week. So anybody that wants everybody on here right now has adult children.
Yeah. If I could just jump in on all of this, I see with the first 3 bullet points, that's going to require something way bigger than just having a conversation. So this is where, if it's any of those things, this is where you definitely need to seek professional help.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
I don't think anybody on this line, will tell you to stay or go, because that's a personal decision, but you do need to know how to deal with that, because who knows why it came to this thing. I know for me and my own self, if don't call me anything but what my mama named me, but that's just me, but also I didn't grow up in a house like that. So you have to think about childhood trauma. If they had a godly marriage represented before them, lots of things play into that. So I would say for the first 3, please, 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 for the love of God, seek professional help, and please don't go to your girlfriends and your fellas and try to get their little, internet, the YouTube. They went to YouTube University and now they know everything about it. No, you're gonna need some professional people to give you strategies to walk through that, so you can better handle that. And I also think that we need to break away from things that we were probably taught as a child. My grandma always said, don't let your right hand know what your left hand doing. Or grandma always said, you're always supposed to have your little secret count on the side because you don't know. So those things that some of maybe our grandparents and we don't know why they had to do those things. That may be a whole nother different story. But at the same time, it was bad advice. Not to keep. I'm not. You can have you run your money is how you run your money, but a spouse should not come up and find out, oh, you got a whole nother account in a Swiss account, bank account somewhere else, and you got millions of dollars in that, and I'm over here struggling. Those kind of things, secrets and things like that in the marriage can be very destructive. And so you have to communicate these things early on, and let them know. And our marriages are not our parents' marriages. I know that was one of the biggest mistakes that I was trying to make. I was trying to make my marriage like I saw my mom and dad's marriage, and what I saw may not have been the depth of that marriage, because we just saw the persona that they wanted to give, but we didn't know what it took for them to be in the trenches. And so for me, I probably went in with a false expectation, like this is going to be all beautiful and roses and everything is going to be so beautiful, but I had to learn early on the art of communication and saying, hey, don't do this because this hurts me, or this makes me feel a certain kind of way, or can we talk about this, because I had become that person. I'm a silent assassin, if you make me mad, I will ice you out. I will, the whole ignoring you and withholding intimacy. Oh, you gonna feel it. I won't say a word, but you gonna feel it. And that wasn't right, because if my husband's love language is physical touch, and then I am deliberately holding that from him, or I'm deliberately ignoring him to make him feel hurt, then his only response is going to be to retaliate. And so again, we have to be able to have those adult conversations. If your feelings hurt, communicate that. If something was done that you were not comfortable with, communicate that. And so that your spouse can know, hey, let me try something different to get my point across, so that you can receive it, because you can't, and another thing, you're not going to talk crazy to me about my husband. Now I can talk crazy to him, but you're not going to, and you have to develop that attitude, and break some of those bad habits that we were taught growing up, because we should not keep secrets, and we should be able to have a healthy adult conversation about the things that bother us or that hurt us, so that we can establish some healthy boundaries.
Yes, all of that.
Absolutely.
Where's that little sign, that little thing the gift that you find that says all of this? Everything Marcy just said.
I wanted to add to what Pastor was saying too, that I know that my marriage almost for 20 years, on August of 2021, it'll be 20 years. But one thing that I'm starting to identify in a lot of my cases and situation was that my relationship with my parents, what I observed, has been an evolution from what they observed growing up as children. And I think that we have to look at marriage, or the process of raising a family, is evolution in itself, because we have technology and everything else is becoming progressive. And I just think it's more ideal, which is why we're talking about social media, that we have to become more progressive in our approach to marriage. And so what I do with my kids, I have a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old, I tell them, how to do things better than me. I don't really emphasize so much of what I did wrong, but I do try to tell them, like, this is how you treat a lady, because at the beginning I wasn't all that great. But that was a learned behavior. I didn't know I wasn't taught to open doors. I wasn't taught to do this and this and that. I mean, this was from visual observations. And so I think that the pastor was really right on what she had said.
Yes, I agree. Lydia and Andre, do you two have anything that you want to add?
I would just like to add that in making boundaries for your marriage, one thing is important to remember: your spouse is not your enemy. And in remembering that he or she is not your enemy, the boundaries you make for each other, with each other, are there to help one another, and to help secure the bond that you have together. And that is one thing that I have found in counseling marriages. It's like they are against each other, or they're competing with each other, or they're trying to outdo each other. But you have to remember, your spouse is not your enemy. When you're in the trenches, you are together. You're there against everything else. Whatever the world throws at you, is you and two together against the world. And when you keep that in mind, all of these things, I've not been exposed to the yelling and name calling, the physical violence and the infidelity and most of that. And I choose not to do the things like withholding intimacy and ignoring, and I choose not to do those things, because at the end of the day, he is my best friend. That is my personal choice. And I appreciate that God gave him to me. And so in me appreciating him, I choose not to do a lot of things that I see that other people may do, and it may work for them. But as for me and mine, I'll say, I choose not to do a lot of things, and communicate. That is the cusp of everything. You have to know and learn that communication is key, and it is important with every area of your life, of your relationship. Communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, as she was saying, it's you two or us versus the world. So as far as the boundaries are concerned, I guess the other way looking at that is instead of the boundaries within, the two of you make the boundaries to keep everything that's outside from coming in. So with that being said, you are protecting, set the boundaries that's going to protect you two. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you so much for adding that. Rodney, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, just to add a little bit to it, just great information that everybody's given. But, the boundaries that we set, we got to understand that, like you said, we're a team. Everything we do is moving this train right on down the track as we get this momentum and we keep going. There are going to be some hitches. There are going to be some stops, but we just got to keep going and not let any outside influence, whether it be, it ain't going back from social media. There's a lot of ways that we can get attacked, but as long as we're in battle together, we know that whether it's internal, we feel like it might not be able to see it right then. It's just the way of something trying to come between us and attack, but it's how we respond to it and how we know and get back to the basis of our goals. And that's eternity, so.
Yeah.
That was good.
Good. That's real good. Yeah, I know we've always been really good about identifying those attacks or something that may be trying to come between, and we've always been able to communicate that. And that way, you're on the same page and you know how you need to proceed forward. So that's really good.
Yeah, that was perfect, because the enemy looks for an opportune time. So, he'll wait. And so he's looking like, oh, you lonely at lunch, and now somebody want to have a conversation with you.
Right.
Oh, your wife made you mad today. Oh, what did she do? Oh, your husband, so he looks for an opportune time. So being on, keep your head on a swivel, and then you won't get caught slipping.
He won't give you what you don't like. He always gives you what you do like.
He sure does. And you know what? One time I heard my pastor say, Pastor Monty Weatherall, he said, the devil knows exactly what you like, and he can make it and set it up just how you like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, amen to that.
Yes. So, Well, moving on, I know we're going to be getting short on time here in a little bit. The pandemic, I saw some alarming research about a 34% increase in divorce agreements. And this was from a legal firm that processes divorce agreements and paperwork and documentation for divorce agreements. And they said there was a 34% increase in divorce agreements over the past year compared to the year before. And it wasn't just in the US, it was pretty consistent among other countries as well that were dealing with the pandemic. And some of the researchers and experts are concerned that those numbers haven't yet peaked, that there may be more to come. Does anybody want to give any insight or thoughts on that?
My first thought was it because people I guess husband and wife actually had to spend more time together now? Because now you're quarantined and you can't go place to place. So you now actually have to spend more time together. You have to actually talk and kind of confront issues that you may have had, because when you're busy and you're going, you can kind of gloss over things and issues you might have. But when you actually have to face your feelings, face and confront each other, is that the reason that there's such a big increase? That's incredible. 34 is a lot.
That's a huge number.
Huge number. I'm questioning, did y'all even like each other from the beginning? Because for me, the pandemic was a blessing. I had so much fun. I was mad when I had to go back to work. I'm like, I gotta go back. But no, I didn't want to make light of that, because that is definitely alarming numbers. And then again, maybe something like this platform can help us, derail that number, because it probably ended up being about, not being able to communicate with one another effectively, or not establishing those boundaries, or, again, not knowing what to do with each other, because if you're parents, then, we tend to put husband and wife on the back burner and parent, especially if our children were smaller. And so I'm trying to, and I would like to see this number decrease, because I feel like if the couples knew how to do self-love and self-care and set healthy boundaries, and do all of these things, if they really desire to be in their relationship, I feel like it probably could be worked out. Because like I said, for us, the pandemic was actually a blessing, because we were so pulled in so many different directions that we were lacking, with the intimacy, and lacking with the conversation, and coming home, dog tired, and just enough to eat some food and get into bed and go to sleep. So if they could maybe turn their minds and start, sometimes it's about perspective, and that's what I try to share with the Fresh Wind. It's not about your reality. It's how you choose to look at it. So if we look at it, oh my God, it's a pandemic, we got to quarantine, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened in my life. Or you can flip it and say, wow, God stopped the world for a reason. So maybe we should take this opportunity to get to know ourselves better and to build a healthy relationship. So hopefully, Carmel, you and Lydia can help them in therapy and get them to change their perspective and see that, baby, you better go home and quarantine with your boo. This is the best time y'all can have.
Right. Absolutely. The other side of that, how many quarantine babies are gonna be born because they did just that. So absolutely. It is
not me
not me either. But it is important. And like you said, I was having a conversation with Carmel the other day, and I said I actually like my husband. Not just that we're married, but I actually like him and his personality. So it is good that I get to spend time with him whenever I do get to spend time with him, and I enjoy it. And that is a big thing. You have to actually like your spouse.
Exactly.
To want to be able to spend time with them, go on dates with them. And we explain to our children, we have to be together and live together when you're gone. So yes, we're doing something. Yes, we're going on a cruise. Yes, we're going on a date without you. Yes, we are, because we have to nurture this relationship so that it can last even longer than it already has lasted, because we love each other. So we're setting an example. And we told them, this is the example that we are setting for you to see. This is how you need to do, nurture your relationship with your spouse.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's great. Jatan, were you going to add something?
Yeah, well, Miss Lydia said it perfectly. The main ingredient during this pandemic is you have to like your husband anyway. You know, do you like your husband? And I think a lot of people don't like their husbands or like their wives. And I think when the pandemic hit, it was kind of like, who are you? Oh, you don't drink cow's milk anymore. You want almond milk? I think people changed so much. And then when you slow down, people actually realize that that they've changed a lot. So for the people who like being with the husbands, they have a good marriage. The quarantine was wonderful for us. But then there is that that little moment where, I don't know if you guys remember the singer Neo and his wife. They were divorced. They were going to get divorced. He had kicked her out the house. It was a whole big deal. And then the pandemic hit and they were forced to figure it out, to get to know each other again. And now they're getting ready to have a quarantine baby. So they're back together. The divorce didn't take place. So it worked out for them. So, the pandemic, can have its ups and its downs. Now, for me, I loved it, but my husband and I, it's like, can you be on an island with this person and love it, So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I like that story about the artist that you were just speaking of. I didn't hear anything about that, but I was just thinking reunited.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So a lot of people were breaking up, but it was a lot of people getting back together.
That's awesome. I love that. Yes. Anyone else have any thoughts on this before we move on? All right. Well, we're going to move on. Now, I just want to briefly talk about, before we move on past the pandemic, there were medical concerns, career concerns with people losing their jobs and closing businesses or business going down. Some people have pre-existing issues or conditions going on prior to the pandemic, and they may have become worse with the pandemic. And then just financial hardships, and then lack of privacy. Everybody's home. No, typically the kids are going to school, you're going to work, your husband's going to work. So that little maybe extra hour of prep time in the morning after everybody left that you have for work, maybe wasn't there, or maybe mom and dad had a little time while the kids were at school to spend together, but lack of privacy. So some of those things just caused a little bit of agitation and frustration in families. And once again, some marriages were already struggling prior to the pandemic, and it could have gone one way or the other. Now, we're going to move on to, we've already talked about some do's and don'ts on marriages. And so I won't spend too much time talking about that. I want to talk about, because we're running short on time, what to do if your marriage is in trouble. Now, I want to let you know that on this panel, you have some very qualified people that can help you. Marcy, can you briefly, in 1.5 minutes, tell them what you do with your Love Academy, you and Pastor Few too, and how you can help?
Absolutely. We have a community called the Love Academy, and you can find us on Facebook. And we talk about how to build godly marriages, but adding some spice, because a lot of times people think that Christian marriages are boring, but we let them know that it is on and popping. And so if you want to join us, we are in the Love Academy. We keep it humorous, we keep it light, we keep it fun, we keep it spicy. And also we have established what we call date nights, and these have been virtual date nights. We just did a paint and sip party, and we got some other things on the horizon with the private chef that's going to come on, and some other things to kind of keep us, keeping it spicy in the house and establishing date nights. So we would love for you guys to join us. And we also we coach couples, whether it's premarital or if they are already established in their relationship and they just need somebody to kind of come in and give them some strategies that have been working for us. So that's who we are, Fred and Marcy Wilson of the Love Academy.
Yes, and I absolutely love them. So thank you, Marcy. And then some of you viewing might already know, and some maybe not. I am a licensed therapist in private practice, and I also work with a lot of couples in therapy and families. And so take insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna Health Link, multiple other EAP programs and insurance. So if you need coaching or you need clinical counseling, whatever you need, we are here to help. And that getting professional help uh, sometimes may not involve going to someone like Marcy, who's a professional coach, or someone like me, who's a clinical counselor. Sometimes it may be going to your pastor or a minister or elder in your church. And then we have Lydia and Andre here that can help out in that area. Not to mention, Lydia is also a counselor. So Lydia and Andre, did you have anything that you wanted to say with regards to how you can help?
Um, you guys have really said it. With the professional side, it is always good to have someone that is professional to help, because the main thing is that we don't give our opinions. We are strictly there to help you make the best choices for your family. And that is the professional way, because, like you said, going to friends and family is not always, I won't say never, but it's not the best way to go all the time, because they mostly input their opinions, and then you have to choose which side you're going to be on, and it causes a mess. So we are together at the ministry, his father's ministry, actually. And we have different jobs, but we are always available to help someone. That is the main cusp of our ministry, is to help people, whether it is marital or single, or to even get past financial difficulties, talking or what have you. We are always available.
Thank you so much. I 100% appreciate that. And I just want you guys to know that somebody, I think it was Marcy, made a really good point earlier. She said, if it's something with regards to abuse, domestic violence, infidelity, or anything along those lines, make sure that you seek professional help. There are some things that you can maybe go to see an elder in the church about, or someone that you trust. But if there are things going on, such as abuse, or there's a safety issue, then please seek professional help. And we'll have some numbers here in a little bit. My website is carmelbrowncounseling.com. You can email me through that. My phone number, you can call Monday through Friday. My reception staff will answer. If you call after hours, they'll return your call. And if I'm actually right now not taking new clients until May. So if it's something that can't wait until May, I certainly have other therapists that I can refer you to. But do not ignore your problems. Address them right away, because they snowball, they become bigger. And if you address them earlier on, then you have a better chance of getting through them in a healthy manner. And make sure you're not confiding in someone of the opposite sex, because you're vulnerable whenever you're having problems with your spouse. So be very careful. Like I said, we've talked about some do's and don'ts. I want to just highlight here where you can go for help. But real quick, I want to say a couple of things that are really important for us to announce this evening. The premarital architect. This is a wonderful coach that I know personally, a friend of mine, also my spiritual leader, Monty Weatherall. This is for people who are considering getting married. Maybe you're engaged or you'd like to get married. You can go to Pastor Monty Weatherall, and he has a professional environment. Here's his phone number. You can go to premarital.architect.com. And once again, this is for engaged couples or couples who desire or are considering marriage. He has an awesome program mapped out to help individuals so that you can have a healthy marriage. Because like Terrence said earlier, Dr. Duncan, there's a lot of things that people don't know going into marriages that they were never taught. And this is an opportunity for an individual to be able to get that help and get that guidance and set the tone for your marriage so that you can have a healthy and fulfilling marriage. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. And then the other thing, and I've Terrence, did you have any, Terry, Butler, do you have anything that you wanted to add? Okay, so marriage task force, the marriage task force, the marriage task force is coming. Woo, 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 woo. So, what is the marriage task force? It is a committee of married couples that are experienced and qualified to help marriages cope with challenges, acquire healthy coping skills, improve your communication skills, extinguish, meaning get rid of dysfunctional thoughts and behavioral patterns that might be interfering with your marriage, and just to identify and examine unhealthy relationship patterns and trends that may have gone on for generations in your family. So we have a committee of married couples. It's just a few of us starting out, and we are going to be presenting to you on an ongoing basis, giving you tools and tips and even events moving forward. So look forward to that. We'll be here presenting to you in April of 2021. So see you soon on that. And so going back, the last thing is self-care strategies for married couples. Mr. Butler, do you have any suggestions on self-care strategies for couples? I had a couple of things listed here, and I'd like to know if you have any thoughts about any of these things, or if you wanted to add anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, most definitely. I think most importantly is definitely you have to keep your marriage fun, keep it unpredictable. And I want to give you a quick story how my marriage started. And so when we were engaged, like a lot of our friends started getting married, and she'd take me to the weddings, and then like the husband would cry. I think like 2 of the last 3 that I saw the husband crying. I was like, dude, I would never cry at our wedding. She was like, why not? I was like, I just wouldn't. I mean, this doesn't mean I don't feel the same thing you do. I'm just not a crying person. And so we got to our day of our marriage, standing up there, and pastor is saying his words. And so she reaches on my cheek and she does like this, and she makes a face like she's like, oh, like she's making a face like, oh, that's so sweet. And she acts like she's rubbing a tear from me. And I didn't even realize what she was doing until I kind of like saw her like kind of laughing. And so I saw people kind of reaction to me, and I'm like laughing like she got me, because they literally think I'm crying right now when I'm not. And so even after the reception, a couple of my groomsmen came back. So it's okay if he was crying. I was like, dude, I was not crying. She has played a joke on me. And so real quick, her crowning achievement moment in that practical joke was, I would say 10 years later, we were at another wedding, and again, the groom cried at this wedding. And so there's a couple sitting next to us who was at our wedding. And I said, why is this dude crying? And the lady said, I know you're not talking the way you cut up at your wedding. I was like, dude, I was not crying. I was like, I was not crying.
I got to see the video.
Oh, so stuff like that, just keeping fun and keeping laughing is definitely is our self-care, because we're always cracking jokes and talking about each other. So I definitely tell we can't be sensitive, because we're always.
We need receipts, Mr. Butler. I need to see the video, because I think you cried. I think you cried.
You confess in front of the pastor. You confess in front of the pastor, so we need the receipts.
Right. We need receipts.
So we joke about that because she was so proud of herself. Like 10 years later, she was like, I really pulled it off.
Yeah.
Because 10 years later, somebody literally thinks you.
I love it.
I love that. That is a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
We went axe throwing. It was the most exhilarating activity ever. I didn't think that I would enjoy it, but a Groupon is great for these things. So I would just add, scroll Groupon and find some things that's inexpensive and that you can do, because that's how we found axe throwing. But by the time we got finished, it felt like we were, letting off a lot of steam just by throwing the axe and trying to hit the bullseye, and so just trying different things out, zip line. Now I like zip lining, but my husband said I would never do that again, but he did it for me. So again, creating that bucket list of things that you want to do together, and doing it, places that you want to see. We have a vacation bucket list and we have an activity bucket list, and I declare that before we leave this earth, we're going to be able to see all the things that we want to see. And so I think that's another self-care strategy that married couples can add to their list.
That's awesome. Jatan, did you want to add anything to that self-care strategy?
I love the couples massage. That is absolutely amazing. And another one of my fun things to do is, so you can't always take a vacation, but we can do a staycation. So just packing a bag, getting somebody to come watch our babies, and getting out of the house is really important, where we won't be disturbed, and even if it's just for a night. So those are, just a quick fun fact, staycation.
That's great.
Mhm.
One thing I'd like to add as well is the escape room. We went to an escape room with a lot of other couples once, and it was a lot of fun.
It was.
We almost broke up over that escape room, though, man. We almost broke up, but good thing we made it out, because I don't know if our marriage is gonna be able to stand that one.
I love it.
So I love that too. Everything on here we have tried and we love. But sometimes it's just the little things. It is the coffee every morning together, quiet. Just that sets the tone for the day. And then the prayer, spending some time just praying for one another and praying together. That, and it really means a lot to me to hear my husband pray over me. And I'm sure the same with him. So like you said, we just to have a lot of fun, really care, but also sometimes it's just the little things that you make special together. Because when we got married, we had nothing. When I say nothing, we had zero. So, what was so exciting to us was we had to put a radio, at the time it was a stereo. We had to put a stereo in the layaway, because we already tell you how much we love music. We had to put that stereo in the layaway. But let me tell you, every weekend our date night was around that stereo and some sort of form of music. So, it could be the big things, activities that you go, but just to make the small things special as well.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, folks, there you've heard it from our veteran couple here. It's not about how much money you have. Find something that you enjoy and center your time around that, and just enjoy each other's presence. And as time goes on, you can do some of the things like Marcy mentioned and like Jatan mentioned about the couples massages and axe throwing and things like that. And last but not least, I know we're out of time. We had so much more, but that's okay, because the marriage task force is coming, and we'll be filling in the gaps with the things that we didn't get to discuss tonight. Lydia and Andre, is there something that you'd like to add about the self-care strategies?
I was actually gonna to say the same thing that I can't remember, Miss Kimberly said about it's the small things. Just spending intimate time together in the same room, just being together. We enjoy each other's company, and really, even if it's quiet, even if he's practicing on his bass and I'm reading a book, we're together. And that to us means a lot, because we're still in the same space.
Yes.
And enjoying the same space together. So I really, really enjoy that.
Good. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Rodney, did you want to add anything?
No, just keeping it fun. Of course, handling things as they come, but always try to keep it fun. And remember, we are together. We are best friends, and just finding time to enjoy each other. And that's how we keep going. That's how we find it from go from victory to victory and keep on going in this challenging thing called life. So we just gotta enjoy it together. So and have fun along the way.
Yep. We do a lot of laughing. So
Yeah.
I got one more thing I just thought of.
sure.
Um, when thinking about self-care, I think it's important individually to always be try your best to be the best version of yourself. Because when you were dating, you were the best version of yourself when you met that person. If you had a great sense of humor, you got to carry that sense of humor throughout the marriage. Try to keep yourself up physically, spiritually, mentally the best way you can. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't pour out to your partner. Your partner can't pour out to you. And then you're always trying to fill voids that they can only probably either God or themselves can fill. And then you're always kind of off kilter. So definitely always take time out for yourself. Love on yourself too. Eat right, get plenty of exercise and things like that. Pray for wisdom, guidance, and that kind of thing, so you can be the best partner for your partner.
Oh my goodness, Marcy, I'm gonna pull a few too. Where's that little red lady with the red?
Right, because he so preached the word, didn't he?
That was good, Butler. Thank you for that. That was awesome. Yes. Well, we're gonna have Dr. Duncan to take over as we wrap up, and we look forward to next week. Terrence is gonna tell you about that, and like I said, Marriage Task Force is coming your way.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank the guests for coming on board. It's very important to have a panel discussion like this because, often we hear about or we hear stories or we see imagery and stuff of things that's coming apart. So it's very beautiful to see things coming together and still working after, 30 and a half, 20, 25 years, just kind of go off the top of my head. So congratulations and many continued success in the years to come for, all your marriages and also for those who are married listening and for those who are about to get married, as well as for those who are trying to find a way through a relationship and trying to figure out what's going on next. And really want to kind of tie back to what we said last week about, domestic abuse and domestic violence and things like that. Women are not property and men are not property. So by the end of the day, some of the self-care strategies and stuff may involve hanging out with your girls for a trip or so, or, going out of town to see family. My wife is not from the St. Louis area. She's from New Orleans. So there have been times where she had to go home or she went home for a week or a weekend, or she's been on a cruise or whatever. That dog sounds rough. But, there's times and stuff, she's on the crew of Athena, down in New Orleans. So she's going to be doing Mardi Gras floats and stuff. So there might be times where I'm not going to be there for Mardi Gras, but that's perfectly okay. Just want to kind of, with everything that's been going on with domestic violence, especially for those who have been married or for those who have an extended relationship for an extended period of time, just please, know that you're not a property. It's the togetherness that's very important, but they're not property. Your car is a property, your house is a property. If you're going to beat something, beat your car, beat your house, but don't beat your spouse. So thank you again, everybody, for being on board. We did have a question, and just real briefly, we actually had several questions on Facebook, and just a quick round robin. Can a mixed ethnicity couple fall inside Black love as well? And is it treated differently? If not, why? We'll start off with
that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Carmel.
Can a mixed couple fall into Black love as well?
Yes, and is it treated differently? And if not, why? If so, how?
Well, my opinion is absolutely, but it doesn't just fall into the category of Black love. It falls into the category of love in general. And then also whatever the ethnicity is of the other spouse that's not Black. It's no different than when you have biracial children, that you celebrate both. And so, yeah, there's no exclusion there at all. And it shouldn't be treated any differently. love is love. When people say Black love, it's just referring to the race or the color of the people that are actually presenting in that moment. So a black love is no different than love in general.
I think it's more of a culture connotation
Yep.
to the word love. You know, we like to throw, you know, black this, black that and stuff. And it's just, you know, the way it has been, it's always been. And
Yeah.
so when you look at it from love, I mean, I agree with you, love is love. But I think when you say Black love, it kind of gives, you know, like homage to like a cultural presence, you know,
Yeah.
things that are unique in the, you know, some of the adversity and challenges that we went through as African Americans. And so this is not to dismiss, you know, mixed couples or mixed marriages or biracial children. You know, we just wanted to make sure that we emphasize that, you know, love is very important, and that, you know, regardless of the divorce rates that continue to climb in the African American community, there are some great feel-good stories here, and we want to be able to highlight those feel-good stories. And if we had a mixed couple that we're going to be able to put on the show for this particular episode, we definitely would have done that. And we will start dovetailing, you know, with mixed couples being on the show. We're going to start talking to white stakeholders and people so that way we're not just in this proverbial box, so to say, because we want to be reflective of what's going on outside of the country and not be an echo chamber of sorts.
Yeah, and you know, and Dr. Duncan, you know, I've mentioned to you before that I'd like to have an entire episode on interracial marriage.
Absolutely.
So we've already talked about that to the person that asked, because we do believe that that is a specific population that needs to be highlighted, and we need to hear from you, from the interracial couples or mixed couples, about what you see your challenges are, and we'd like to get your perspective and give some advice from us. But the other thing that I'd like to say about that is, you know, when it comes to Black love, there was a time when Black people weren't even allowed to get married. And when we were married, our marriages were disregarded. They weren't technically legal. And so for us to have evolved with regards to marriage at this point, there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of support that we tend to give to each other on an ongoing basis. And it's not to negate any other particular group of people or their marriages. It's just to celebrate the involvement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing. It's just we just want to sell, you know, just needed a carve out a space to celebrate, because you know, a lot of times people were not seeing healthy Black marriages, and so when the hashtag was emerged, it's just celebrated to let the world know that Black couples do stay married and do celebrate love, and so it wasn't a dismiss on any other you know, people who are married or interracial marriages. It was just trying to carve out a space to celebrate something that was never celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
So
having said that, can we everybody just go through and take turns saying, just say your years? How many years? For us, we'll start 22.
22.
22.
9.
19.
30.
19.
26.
All right.
Big numbers.
Yep, it's great.
Absolutely. So we're going to do something different. We're going to actually have the couples sign us out. But before we do that, next week, we're going to have another podcast, episode 19. It's going to have Dr. Wayne Richards. He is originally a New Orleans native, and he's going to talk about his journey from the 7th Ward of New Orleans up to his position as a program manager. He has a doctorate in business, and he has a great story, a very great story about, you know, New Orleans and just how he overcame adversity to be where he is today, as well as tips for entrepreneurship and his work in the community in Huntsville, Alabama. So please tune in next Tuesday. That will be on at 7:30 Central Standard Time on Tuesday, May the 30th. And this is Dr. Duncan with co-host Carmel Brown and Terrence Butler. Butler, did you want to have one more thing to say before we let the panel sign us out?
Definitely want to thank all the couples. Learned a lot from each of you, kind of pulled something different. Definitely appreciate you taking out your time tonight. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be with us. So again, appreciation. And until next time.
Absolutely. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to go round table with our couples and they're going to sign it out. Pastor Wilson, you can sign us out. Just need you to say, I don't know, maybe a Russell Simmons thing and stuff, you know, behind the thoughts, we out. But so we're going to go around the room. We're going to start with Jatan. 30 seconds. If you was going to give advice to a couple to maintain their love and fidelity, you would tell them what? What kind of advice? 30 seconds.
Validation. Validation is very important for a husband and a wife. I believe that it's when validation is lost, that is what leads to a lot of infidelity. So I have a saying, I believe in kinging your man and queening your queen. So just mutual respect, love, admiration, and validation.
Team Brown. Thank you, Jatan. Sorry.
Mhm.
Well, I would say don't forget to have fun. You know, there's a lot going on around us and a lot of reasons to remain serious throughout our days. A lot of us have busy stuff going on, a lot on our plates, on our schedules, but laughter and having fun with each other is important. It should be a part of your daily life.
Definitely laughter has to be a part of your daily life, but also you got to have that basis, that foundation to go back to. You have to have that friendship, but you got to be based in God. You got to have something together that's going to draw you together even closer and closer as time goes on. And that can only come from God. The love of God can only get you past certain situations. And as long as you have that basis, you can always come back together, and along with boundaries and a certain amount of respect and friendship, and you'll be all right.
Great, great. Team Skinner.
Well, we absolutely agree. We would say first and foremost, keep God first,
Yes.
keep him first and keep him in the center.
Yes.
Everything revolves around him, including your marriage. And then decide to fight, decide that your marriage is worth it and fight for it.
Mhm.
Don't just give it up like, that is anything, but fight for it. Anything you want to say?
Just say marriage is priceless. I mean, it's a unique thing that you find an individual that you can share your life with, your dreams, your moments where things don't go your way. It's just living life. I mean, it's an enjoyable thing that you can just, when you look back at it, you know you made the right decision. And that's what marriage is. You made a decision, you decided to stay together, and you fought for everything to make this life together work. And that's what we've always done. That's why we always say Team Skinner. It's always about us. And when it starts with us, it ends with us.
Absolutely. And quick question, at y'all house parties and stuff, y'all got the Chicago style piece and the Garrett popcorn or not?
We can come close. We can
Okay.
come close.
Yeah, we go to
All
popcorn.
right. Yeah.
Was it popcorn?
We got popcorn and such that's close here.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good shout out. Okay, yeah, because y'all was talking about the house parties. I've been to the South Side and I went to a couple of house parties during my college days and stuff. So I already know.
Yeah.
It goes down in the sky. Thank you for being on. Team Neil.
I would just say communication. Make sure that you are communicating and being able to nurture your relationship through communication. Learn your love languages and love on each other as much as you can, because life is short and you have someone that you can spend that time with. Love on them as much as you possibly can. You want to add anything?
As has been said, keep God first. It's an institution that he ordained, and at all costs, do everything you can to protect it, and keep that boundary up, you versus the world.
Thank you, Team Neil. Mr. Butler.
Yes, sir. Some background noise. What's up?
Your response for 30 seconds. You like?
Oh, I thought I already did mine before you even started.
Okay, yeah, you did. That's my bad. So now we're going to end it with Pastor Wilson.
I would say keep the sex dirty and the fights clean.
I wasn't expecting that, guys.
I like the
Yes,
Wilson.
across the street.
Yeah, know each other's
real.
Yeah, know each other's triggers. Don't hit below the belt, and
Yeah.
man, and have fun when it's time to make up.
Yeah, you the real
Oh,
deal.
good. Okay.
I love it.
Amen.
I second that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I think we're all in
Amen.
agreement there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way you close the show. So thank you everybody again.
Shut it down, Wilson. Shut it down, Wilson.
That's the mic drop.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody for jumping on board, for listening to the podcast and watching us on YouTube when it uploads on Friday, as well as the simulcast on Facebook. And this is Dr. Duncan and Carmel Brown and Terrence Butler, where we are signing out.